the conversation. I don't know where you got this information from that you should join, or where you got the link from, but I'm going to introduce what this is to you. And very briefly, I would mention that the conversation, shortened to mean Cemi, incorporates education, migration, and integration. It is an online conversation program that seeks to empower the migrant community through information exchange between the different generations of migrants. It is possible that as a migrant, you think that the German system is very, very strict and very rigid, and it is impossible for you to survive or to thrive in this within this system. But by focusing on different important topics and important issues, Cemi aims to enlighten migrants with information on how the German system operates and works in general at various levels, and how you can get the best out of it. And the main goal of this conversation, of this project, is to break the cycle of misinformation amongst the migrant community and give them a chance of making a better and more informed life decision. This is very, 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 very cogent. Information is everything you need to thrive in this world. I can say that over and over and over and over and over again. It is, I know that Google is there for you, Google is there for everybody to check, but if you don't have somebody to give you one-on-one information, probably learning from their experience, you might still make mistakes with Google, and that's just the truth. But the first season of this periodic conversation will hold between March to June 2022. And please, I am glad and very excited, and also you should join me. Use your virtual clap, your virtual bubbles, your virtual celebration emojis to celebrate our sponsors, the Horizon Resource Network, supported by the BürgerStiftung Hamburg through the Migrant Engagement Fund. Thank you very much to all. This is the place to be. So if you know anyone who has to be here, please, please, please share the Zoom link with them. Thank you very much. I said with your very, very gesture, please give clapping emoji or the celebration emoji. Just celebrate our sponsors. It is one thing to have a dream, it is one thing to have a vision, it's another thing for other people to see that, yes, truly, this works. And I'm glad that you're all here today. I'm more than excited to be here. Okay, 5 minutes gone. Yes, of course, I have to keep the time. Like I mentioned earlier, this, if you are just joining, I should tell you that this session is being recorded. So if you do not give consent for your voice or for your face to be recorded, please use the chat box and give your information. As time goes on, I'm going to tell you when it is okay for you to raise your hand and ask questions. Please note that this is an interactive session. We're all here to learn. We're all here to know one thing or another. Nobody's an island of knowledge. And of course, today I'm happy, more than glad, to introduce you to our speakers that will be speaking today. These people are knowledgeable. These people are experienced in this field. They are the best you could come across to teach us, or for us to learn from, about their experiences, about what they've gone through, about everything we need to know concerning education, migration, integration in Germany, and how to make the most of what is, obtainable within the German system. Okay, so that being said, I have been informed that our speakers are here. Thank you, welcome. Thank you very much for this opportunity and for giving us this time so that we can learn from your experience. And I'm extremely excited to learn from you. And I believe that everybody here is excited to also learn from you. Okay, so I'm going to be talking briefly about our first speaker, Dr. Ibrahim Kolawole Muritala. He's a registered engineer with over a decade of work experience and research experience in higher education institution, research sector, energy, oil and gas industry. Dr. Ibrahim currently works with the German Aerospace Center as a researcher and project leader. He manages international research and technological development projects at the Institute of Low Carbon Industrial Process, Cottbus, Germany. Cottbus and Zittau, Germany. In this institute, Dr. Ibrahim provides decarbonization technological intervention for energy-intensive processes in crucial industries like petroleum refining, petrochemical, cement, steel productions, and so on and so forth. His expertise cuts across concept process chain development via computational modeling and simulation and virtual designs for energy systems and industrial processes, amongst others. He's a former research scientist and obtained his doctoral degree from Technical University Berg Academy. A master's, he holds MSc in process engineering and plant design from Brandenburg Technical University, Cottbus, Germany, and BSc in chemical and polymer engineering from Lagos State University, LASU, Lagos, Nigeria. I am so excited to meet with this person, not just because this person, this doctor has decided to give us his time, but also because he's Nigerian. If you had your bachelor's in Nigeria and then came over to do your BSc or to do your MSc or your PhD, you know what I mean. This person, this speaker of ours, is very knowledgeable, knows what he's doing, knows what he's about to teach us, and be rest assured that you're going to learn so much from Dr. Ibrahim. Dr. Ibrahim, welcome, and I'm so happy and excited to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you to the organizers and the sponsor of this event. Yes, basically, what we are here for is to have a conversation. And I will quickly have to run through some few tips from my end. Let me start with something from my end. So I just have some, okay. So I need to be allowed to use, okay, good, thank you. Okay, so basically the conversation has to do with becoming a German citizen. On the other end, I will also say it has to do with more of how do we get ourselves integrated into the system. So like the moderator has rightly said. So getting ourselves integrated into the system is important. And at the end of the day, what is the reward is to also become an active citizen. So I'll quickly run through some points, and here are some of the points I would like to touch in this conversation. So number one, make the best of yourself. So in terms of your skills. And number two, about the permanent residency in Germany and the blue card, which every one of us are very familiar with, and how to get the German citizenship, and some personal insight based on some few experience. And I know there are a lot of experts here and people that are highly knowledgeable about this. So as you can see, our life has always been a journey, and it will continue to be a journey. And the process of us getting some kind of, I mean, it's something that you continue. And but wherever you are, the most important thing is how to make impact and how to ensure that you be an agent of change wherever you are. So looking at the issue of the skills that you have, because this is the key thing. It's important you continue to upgrade yourself. It's important you get yourself affiliated to some professional organization here in Germany. It's important that you are well inclined with what you are doing with your colleagues and the likes. And this is what gives you the integration part. Also build your network. It's important because these are the things you need. Get a well-paid job. These are important. And at the end of the day, you start making impact. Now, when you have all this, so the point of this issue of permanent residence in Germany, it's more or less like it's at least you have to have your 5 years stay in Germany without interruption. So that means when you start your master's, let's say you finish after 3 years and you get a job and things like that. So all this should be 5 years. On the other hand, you must have held a resident title of at least 5 years, like I said before. and also pay into the pension insurance contribution for like 16 months. So all the jobs you are doing now as a student, all this counts. So 60 months in total is the benchmark. So when you also have this, so there are some documents or lists of checklists that you need to have in mind when it comes to the permanent residence in Germany. So I think I will just run through them. Mostly you hear most of the Ausländerbehörde or the foreign office, they call it Niederlassung Erlaubnis. So this is why I made it in yellow. So Niederlassung Erlaubnis. And in this Niederlassung Erlaubnis, it's an application form that you need to fill. And you have to prove that you have this health insurance. And you also have to have some, your valid passport, your Nigerian passport, or your foreign passport that you have, which is not that of the German passport. You just have to, it has to be valid over like, I think minimum of 6 months expiration or so. Maybe you have to also have the knowledge of the German. So B1, it's a good one. So you also have to, this biometric photo is important. The certificates of your studies here in Germany is also very important because these are the benefits of you. And if you're married, you need a marriage certificate and all those things that you need to prove of all this. Your financial income, all this needs to be proved. Then, yeah, a letter of employment. If you have a letter of employment already from your company or your organization, is important. Your Ameldung, the proof of your accommodation restriction is important. And yes, there are some fields that they need to also prove professionalize, maybe the legal people in the law field, people in the medical field also. So this is also important sometimes. So, but if you have your studies in Germany, I think you can easily scale through all this. So there's another aspect which has to do with the blue card. And I think many people always like to go for this. It also has its own benefits. And sometimes it also has kind of demerits, which I think we might also discuss here. So the most important thing is for you to qualify for this, you must have degree, which has been proved that you have those degree. You must have a job, and the salary must be within this range. I think it's changing. This something is changing. So I think there was a time, I think it was 39,000 per annum. So now it's changing. And there are some field, especially field of STEM, where there's always shortage of people. They try to reduce this money sometimes. So it also changed from maybe state to state. So sometimes. So the major requirement here is your university degree, the recognition of your qualification, if it's not from employment offer, health insurance, and also registered address, which is the AMEDO. So these are the major things for the blue card, which is also similar to the normal permanent residence document here in Germany. So there are some a little bit of differences between the normal residence, which gives you unlimited stay in Germany, versus the blue card. And I think maybe later on we can talk about this based on what some of the things I know. Then let's talk about becoming a German citizen. So it's a process. Like I said, there are some basic conditions that needs to be fulfilled. You're speaking of German language, your clean criminal record, your financial stability, your organization exam and Prüfung, you must pass it. So it's the minimum score is 17 out of 33, and also you have to pay a fee, and I think 255 euro, and I think that's all. So when you do this, you just have to also visit your office. I mean, the Einbürgerungsbüro Bureau. They will give you a checklist, and those checklists based on the document you have before, and sometimes they have to transfer your file from the Ausländerbehörde to the Einbürgerungsbüro. So before, the foreign office is Einbürgerungs office, where Ausländerbehörde, where they transfer your file, and they will tell you, okay, these are some documents you need to come with, and they'll give you the checklist. There are some generic checklists that you can find online, and this also differs. So always try to get the current one from the Einbürgerungsbüro. So from my own personal insight, and not to take much of our time, we know that our journey is a little bit very short, and a lot of activities will always take place, maybe from bachelor's level down to master's level, or from master's level down to maybe finishing level, and all these things are stages, and you just have to like plan your time and look at the opportunities that are within you. Most times we feel everything goes on very smooth. Okay, I finish my master's, I get a job, and there. But in reality, you have some kind of ups and downs, which is normal, which is part of. I also want to have this that this process can be hastened up. So for that, you can easily get it quickly if you have a full-time job. For your PR, if you have a full-time job, you can get it easily. For the German citizenship, you can also get it. Or sometimes it also differs from city to city, from state to state. So you just have to buy. I think you guys in Hamburg area are the guys that are really enjoying. So you can see the data here. So as you can see from Statista. So, and these are facts. So I think you are in a safe place, and you just make the best use of your stay, make the best of your skills. And I hope, yeah, I hope we can have more conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much, sir. That was very insightful. Thank you. I got the part where you said, oftentimes we think it goes this way, and then we realize that it's not so easy. And especially when it comes to looking for a job after school, we know that when you get that job, it's usually like maybe a little bit better, but to get that or to land that particular job, that one job, is always difficult sometimes. And I personally have lots of questions to ask you, but
yeah, I'll be glad to have them. And I think yes, as time proceeds, yeah, you can go. So as time proceeds, and we can always discuss them.
Okay, sir. Okay, that'd be great. Okay, so right about now, I'm just going to quickly call the second speaker so that then we'll have the question and answer together. And like I mentioned, please, to everybody, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat box. As soon as the second speaker is done speaking, I'm just going to read out the questions to the speakers, and they are going to give great answers to it. Okay, our second speaker for today is Mr. Victor Oyedele. He's a civil engineering professional and project energy manager in the chemical industry. He had a MSc in civil engineering and an MBA in technology management from the Hamburg University of Technology, TUHH. So Mr. Victor Oyedele, we're waiting for you, sir. Okay, I think I found him. You're muted, sir. Also, Mr. Victor Oyedele, you're muted if you're speaking. Okay, we're excited to have you, and we cannot wait to hear from you. You can tell us about yourself. We just want to learn and learn and learn and learn from you today. Thank you, everybody. Keep dropping your questions in the chat box, and of course, they will be. Oh, okay. I'm just going to. Okay, you're muted now, Mr. Victor.
Yes. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Victor Oyedele. I'm from Nigeria, Osun State, Nigeria. I studied environmental engineering and also at the TUHH. My mandate today is just to share my experience, my personal experience on how I got my German citizenship. And yeah, this is how it goes. I got my citizenship exactly 6 years in Germany for the first time. So I think that's just about the approximate time for people who have gotten a degree from a German university. And I started the application early. So that was how I was able to get it right on time. So I arrived in September of 2015, by September of last year, 2021, I already had the certificate, the BürgerStiftung certificate, which is what you need to go apply for your passport and your Ausweis, the card. So I think the key to that, the key to getting it exactly 6 years, right on time, is to apply early as well. Because by the end of the 5th year, I was already eligible for the permanent residence, and I also applied early for the passport, which I think I applied in March of last year for that. So it took roughly about 6 months for the processing. Could be longer, but it's essential to always estimate an approximate period of 6 months to 1 year for the processing. So I think that's my experience in a nutshell. If you have questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Personally, I just want to ask a quick question. You mentioned that 6 years, the period of 6 years to get to German citizenship. Do you live in? Like, did that contribute to citizenship? Because there's some people also who have spent more than that and they didn't get theirs. Does your state have anything to do with this in general, where you live?
Okay, yeah, works now. So I live in Hamburg, right? So it's Hamburg is arguably one of the quote unquote easiest places to get German citizenship, because they tend to be a little more liberal with it. If you have the minimum requirement of the B1 German the certificate, you will still get it. I understand that, of course, I can't verify this information, but I understand that in places like Munich, they require C1. So, and I've also heard of stories of folks here in Hamburg who did not even have to submit any German certificates, and they still got the passport. So yeah, Hamburg, we've been a more liberal northern state, a northern part of Germany. It's more easy, or it's a more convenient place, more open to get the citizenship.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. And before I ask Dr. Ibrahim questions in the chat box, I would also still like to ask you, Mr. Victor. I want to believe that I'm saying it correctly, Mr. Victor. I know Dr. Victor, right?
Yes, Dr. Victor.
Okay. So people want to know a little bit about your background, because there are some questions in the chat box, you know, about, did you come as a student? What did you do in the entire 6 years that you were here? Was it, I don't know, what did you do exactly? What was this 6 years all about? So if you could shed more light on that.
Yeah, so I came for study. I got an admission for the international master program in environmental engineering at the Technical University of Hamburg, the TUHH. And I graduated from that program in 2018. That's around August of 2018. So that was took me almost 3 years to finish that. And I was already working while I was studying, right? So I had a work student job in an engineering firm, called German engineering firm, in the engineering design department. And as I was finishing my thesis, I got retained there. So that was also, because that played a role in me being eligible after 5 years of arriving here for the PR, for the permanent residence, because you need to have worked for a certain amount of months. I think that should be 24 months, thereabout. So from 2018 to 2021, that was already more than enough time for me to apply for the permanent residence and also for the passport, because at the end of the day, you need to be working after school, right? In order to be eligible. And yes, that's 6 years. It counts as well. It included my study period inside the 6 years. I hope I'm able to answer the question.
Yes, thank you very much, Okay, I got something from what you said, or maybe I misunderstood. So did you not get a blue card? Did you just apply directly for a PR?
Oh, yes. So the issue with the blue card, I didn't opt for the blue card when I started working full time, right? I think from my own perspective, the difference between the regular working permit and the blue card, it gives you more mobility across the EU, and you also need to be earning a certain amount of money. It depends on which field you are in. For engineering, some science and technology fields, that's about 44,000 thereabouts. So yeah, maybe a little bit more. So in 2018, when I started working, then I didn't go for the blue card. I just, because you have the choice, they will ask you which one do you want. At least here in Hamburg, where at the Amt where I did mine. So I just went for the regular one, and yeah, of course, I changed jobs in between. I'm on my third job now. So yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yes, I think I still have further questions for you, but I will come back to ask. Dr. Ibrahim, there is someone in the chat box who wants to understand and wants you to shed more light on the advantages and disadvantages of blue card, because we're just talking about blue card. So if you could shed more light on it, like if I just finish my studies, should I go for a blue card or should I take a regular work permit? Which one works more for me?
Okay, well, from my experience, I never went for blue card. In fact, I never even applied for the normal permanent resident something. It was just the Auslander builder that was like, oh, you really qualify for this, come and just do this. And they just sent the form to me. So it also depends. So when they also observe that you have some work and you have some income and everything like that. From those of my friend who went for blue card, I think the benefit there is when you have a blue card, maybe it's also quick for you to have the blue card than the permanent resident, the normal German permanent resident. So when you get the blue card, the benefit is you can go to other EU countries to work. But what I've observed is that most Ausländer builder prefer to encourage you to go for the PR, for the German permanent resident, because they want you to stay in Germany. They need a workforce. This is one. Those guys who went for blue card, what I notice is if they lose their job, maybe after 3 months and they are unable to find job or something like that, they might go back to where they come from. This is something I've noticed because I have a Russian friend who had a job and she worked for 22 months before the company says, oh, the company is into bankruptcy and things like that. And they packed up. And at that point, she never discussed with anyone. I didn't believe she discussed this with many of us. Would have encouraged her to just still stay in the company till 24th month, even not having 2 months salary. With that, she could go down to the Ausländer builder and tell them that, look, I want to change this blue card to PR and things like that. There is a way they can do that. So along the line, she was sent to, normally the person will be sent to the job center to go and seek support. And I think this will be some percentage of your former salary that they will give to you for a period of time. If you have a blue card, it's a shortened time. But if you have a German, a normal German permanent residency document, you can get this for, I think, either 18 months or 24 months, almost 65% of your salary as a support before you can find a job. And they can also support you to go for some reskilling, to go and upgrade yourself if you feel like the job you are doing, you are applying, you can't find jobs. So they'll be sending you some jobs like that. So I think it's always good. I always encourage people to go for the normal German permanent residence than going for the blue card. If you feel you want to leave Germany to other European countries, you can go for blue card, but I just feel the normal German one gives you more liberty, more support from my observation. And I think other people can also say something because I believe a lot of people have different experience, but from all my friends that had this, I think these are the issues I've seen so far.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ibrahim. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm very, very happy to be here right now because it looks like everything you'll be saying is about me because I just finished my studies recently. Anyway, what I'm about to ask is, I've always known that there is a German blue card and there is the normal work permit, the general work permit, before the permanent residence. So are you saying, Dr. Ibrahim and Mr. Victor, you did not go for the blue card, you had the regular work permit, and after a while you got your PR? Is this what you're saying? Oh, wow.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for clarifying that. Okay, this takes me to another question for Mr. Victor. Somebody just asked, because you mentioned, I want to believe it was because you mentioned that you had a student job. This person asked, what requirements do they need to get a student job while studying? So if you could briefly just tell us that.
Okay, so the requirements, first of all, is you having the permits. Because I understand that most students that come to study, you get an automatic 240 half days, 120 full days to work. That's very important. And of course, your students Bescheinigung, most places that you apply to, if they interview you and they're interested in employing you, they are going to request for your students Bescheinigung, so that they will not have the problem with the Arbeitsamt or the Finanzamt later. So they have to be able to prove that you're actually studying, and you do not need any other special requirements or any of that special whatever. You just apply to a job that fits your study, for instance, or that fits a particular skill that you have acquired earlier. For instance, in my case, I had the AutoCAD associate certificate from Nigeria back then, right after I finished my NYSC. And the job, I used Stellenberg. That was the website then for students. So a website for student jobs. And I saw the company, they were looking for a web student that can use AutoCAD. It was easy as that. And that was how I got it. Even my German was still like A2, B1. So that was end of 2016, early 2017. But they were willing to waive the skill so that I could just start because it was kind of an urgent need. So I just used my A2 to start the job. And of course, with time, I improved on the job. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Victor. And then I'm going to move on to Dr. Ibrahim to ask you this particular question. Someone wants to know if you have to renounce your original nationality to take up a German nationality. What do you say?
Yeah, I think this is for some countries. I think for Nigeria, I mean, sometimes I always say we come from a very nice country, and I mean, our country is very open to this. So I think some countries like Cameroon also, they have to denounce. So, and for Nigeria, this, I mean, you can just also keep your nationality. So just go ahead, you have Nigerian passport, you have your German passport, there's no problem. So, I mean, nobody's compelling you to do this. They all know this. There is a kind of book where they check all this from the Einbürgerung office, and they will tell you, you keep your nationality, the one you have from your country of birth, and this one is also another one you have, so it's no problem.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for clarifying that.
Yeah, and I think there's also another question because okay, we've answered that. The advantage and disadvantage of the blue card. I think other people might have several experience, but from what I could say, it's always good to go for the normal German one because you are more secured and covered with a lot of things.
May I quickly add something to the statement from the main speaker about renouncing your Nigerian citizenship if you're about to get a German passport? By rule, I mean, before it was like that, but it was changed. So now you can keep both. I'm keeping both. From some rumors that I also heard, in some parts of the South, they will require you to drop your Nigerian citizenship, even though they understand that you do not have to, right? So, however, that's why it's also important that you also, as an expert or a student, get a little bit conversant with some of the laws. There's a law called STAG, the Staatsangehörigkeitsgesetz. There's a clause in it. So if you go to the Amt, right, because as many of us already know, the kind of outcome you get from the Amt depends on who you meet sometimes, right? So the person can just see you and just feel it doesn't like you, doesn't like your face. Let me give this person some stress. So they will tell you that no, that this is the law, that you are not allowed to keep both. So if you also know the part of the STAG that says this is an exemption for this list of countries, you can also right there and then state that law or show it to the person on your phone or whatever. Then the person will calm down a little and allow you the process. Otherwise, they'll just send you away. You have to go and book another termin and hope that you do not meet that person on your next appointment. So you need to understand that sometimes you might just meet some of this kind of difficulty. I understand that in Hamburg, of course, they are going to send you the letter. They're going to send you a bunch of forms where they will write everything. So they will tell you that if you are required to drop your citizenship, your previous one, you should have started it by now. So you know that if you are from Nigeria, just ignore that part and feel the rest.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. And I was also going to ask, this goes for the both of you because you had a work permit and then you had your PR. How long did that take? How long did you hold your work permit until you got your PR? Maybe Dr. Ibrahim can start.
Yeah, I think for me, yeah, you can do it. So for me, I think that I had my PR, and I think it took me almost like 2 years after my PR to get my German passport. And the reason being that I had to also change jobs because I was formerly working as a researcher assistant with the university. Then from there, I moved to the larger industry. So from there, okay, sorry, my daughters are here. so from there, so I had to move to the larger industry. So I think this period was just one of the reasons why I had to take 2 years. But I've also seen someone who already had, 6 years, the person was able to get his German pass. But the law, if you look at the law itself, it says 7 or 8.
Okay.
So, and some people are getting it 6 years. So after 6 years. So I don't know that of Mr. Victor, but I know some people get it 6 years. Some people can get it 7 years. Some people can get it 8 years. But the law, most times, majority of the guys in the Einbürgerungsbüro Bureau, they prefer 8 years. They just want to they just want you to test all your, let me say, they want to test all your, how do you call it, endurance or your resilience. Let me use that word. Because, for example, if you are someone who always have like 6-month contracts, it's a big issue. And sometimes they will tell you, go and get the Verlängerung, and you must ensure that your job contract is minimum of 6 months. So if it's 5 months, 4 months, then they tell you, go and get a longer one. So you must ensure that you have something to really prove that you are well integrated into the system in terms of your payment of income and all those and tax and everything. So it depends. So 6, 7, 8. And I've also seen people would tell me that, oh, they got it 10 years later, So it also depends. So this is why different story for different people. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Victor. Do you want to say anything?
Yes. So, with regards to that aspect of, I think what you were asking about is the amount of the number of years, right?
And that it took you from holding your regular work permit to getting a PR, and then.
Oh, okay, I get it. So I got my regular work permit in 2018, and by 2021, early 2021, around April, I already had my permanent residence. So just about exactly 24 months working.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah, that was it for me.
Thank you very much for clarifying, and thank you very much for mentioning the chat box. If anybody is curious, people want to know if you need an integration test when you're applying for your German passport, and Mr. Victor just said, if you have a German degree, you do not need to write an integration test. There is no integration test needed. Dr. Ibrahim, I see that you want to
There's a test called Einbürgerungsprüfung. That one shows your exam for naturalization or something like that. You just have to do that exam. It's 33 questions and you must score a minimum of 17. So when you do this, this is part of the checklist that you have for the German citizenship. So this is very important. And I think it's very easy. I mean, for me, I just read the exam. I mean, I read through all the questions a day before the exam and I went to write it and I scored everything. So, and I know many of us can do that. I mean, even for my wife, I think I came back from work and we had a kind of knowledge exchange. Within like 5 hours, everyone went to bed. The next day we went together to write the exam and she also scored everything. So I think you can do the exam anytime, especially when you already have your PR, then just go and do the exam as soon as possible.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ibrahim. Mr. Victor.
Yes, I didn't have to do the Einbürgerungs test. I think there's kind of a mix-up in the question and the chat box, right? So there's someone asked about integration. The integration test is not the Einbürgerungs test, okay? So the integration test is more like a German language kind of, and that one is more like a test or the course. It's kind of like a course, so to say. It's not a test per se. Then the Einbürgerungs test, that was a proper test. And I didn't do it. I wasn't asked to submit proof of that. I don't know, maybe there's some element of luck in that because I have some colleagues of mine who also studied here and they did it, right? So I know that it depends a lot, right? It depends on who you meet, who interviews you. And I feel that one factor that played a role in my own case was the first contact person that I talked to at the Einbürgerungsamt, right? So the person will ask you a few questions and they're going to talk to you in German, right? So they asked what's my German skill, whatever, and we had a conversation like 5 minutes and it was in German. And you realize, okay, I had a B2 certificate already, but I speak and say C1. So maybe that was what informed this decision and thought, okay, maybe this one doesn't really need to do the Einbürgerungs test. So he never really asked. So he said, I'm going to send you a checklist of all the documents that you need to submit. And the Einbürgerung was on the list, but it didn't check it. So there were other things there. So maybe I was just lucky.
Yeah, maybe. But that's such a great thing to know as well, because I mean, it gives everybody hope that it's possible that you do, it's possible that you don't. It all depends on your amt. It all depends on the person that you meet at the amt, and all of these things play a role as well. Thank you very much for clarifying that. So there are lots and lots of questions in the chat box.
Yeah, in addition, please. In fact,
Sir.
I think that the law gives a very strong room for the officer you meet in the amt. You know, if you read through the law, at the end of the day, it says at the discretion of the officer, you know. So this is a key thing, and I think it's very important sometimes when you go. I think, I mean, I've also had a discussion with a lot of people that when you go, just go in the best shape of yourself. I mean, dress well, present yourself well, speak those German you can speak them very well. Just try to speak them. Don't try to mix it up with maybe English and things like that. And just be confident enough. And with that, I think sometimes many of them fall for some of this kind of confidence that we do have. But some of them are also very tough. So just be ready.
Yes, sir. So in addition to that, Dr. Ibrahim, I'm still going to continue with you. Somebody asked if there is a particular question for you here. Okay, can this person be so optimistic or have faith in God that they want to take the naturalization test without having the PR first? Is that possible?
Okay. Well, it's, I mean, I've heard of someone who, after, I mean, who got the German pass without going for the PR, you know. And, I mean, like Mr. Victor said, I think sometimes different things for different people, luck and things like that. And even I've also heard of someone who was not asked of anything that has to do with the language, although this person speaks up to A2 level, and they never check this language B1 or B2 in the checklist. So, it also depends. So I've heard of someone who did not have the PR, and after his master's, he worked with some companies, and I think after at his 6th year, he just went ahead to apply for the embargo and he got it. So yeah, it's possible. So yeah. Because the law says 7, 8, but sometimes they give people at the 6th year. So, and I think the person must have had like B2 or level of German or even C1.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. This question goes to, let me ask Mr. Victor first, and then Dr. Ibrahim will chip in what he thinks. People want to know if the years of their study count when it comes to the number of years you need to stay in Germany until you get your German pass. For example, someone asked, you come in for a BSc and then you do MSc, and then that accumulates to 6 years. Can I just 100% apply for my German pass, after this?
Should I go first?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yes, if you study a master degree, I mean, I'm just going to use my particular case. You're expected to study for 2 years, right? 4 semesters, right? And that 4 semesters counts as 1 year. But what is most important at the end of the day is how many months of work that you have, or how long have you paid into the social security, whatever, because that's at the end of the day, that's what they will request from you. And I mean, that means you cannot keep studying perpetually, right? Because I understand you can study for 10 semesters or whatever, and at the end of 6 years, expect to get the passport. No, it won't work like that. So it's better to work towards finishing your study on time, maybe within a space of 3 years, 4 years, whatever, and start to work. Because I understand that for some of our colleagues, it takes a long time for them to get a stable job. Because at the end of the day, you need a stable job, right? So, so it could be in that case a little longer for people in that situation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Victor. I don't know if Dr. Ibrahim wants to chip in.
Yeah, can you help me rephrase the question a little bit? Because my concern is if the person had 6 years of studies, it's important the person works while he or she's doing her studies. Because I remembered some of the jobs I did while I was in my master's were part of this 60 months, and it's paid off, because sometimes we do those jobs and we believe that maybe they're just something we do to earn some little money, but they count. So some of these months count. So if the person is able to combine those things, I think maybe he or she can get it. But it's important after the master's program, after the 6th year, the person should also show a proof of maybe income or something like that. Because if the person is arbeitslos, then it might be a big problem. Sometimes they don't like this. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I mean, what I can get from what you have said so far, everything has to do with what you're able to give the German government. They won't just hand over anything to you if they feel like you're not able to hand them something in return in the area of your job, or something you're able to bring to the table as well. This is what I can really get from what you said.
Exactly that, and that was why I started with try to upgrade your skills, be relevant to the society. I mean, they want people that are productive, and we should also look at the fact that the economy needs a lot of us, and try to find your space. And if you can find your space, just push in, because sometimes some of all these lists of checklists that we mentioned, when they need somebody critically, they might just overlook some things. And this is where the laws are changing all the time. In the past, after your master's, you are given 6 months to look for a job. Later they change it to 1 year. Later they change it to 1.5 years, 18 months now. So things are changing, and I think, yeah, we should just be optimistic about the future and just be ready to approach everything with all sense of responsibility.
Great. Thank you very much, sirs. Thank you, Dr. Ibrahim. Thank you, Mr. Victor. To everybody, I can see your questions in the chat box. I have them here. Don't worry. I'm going to ask them. I'm going to ask the speakers. But before then, it is important for us to network. Like I mentioned at the very beginning of this particular session, that we underestimate the power of networks. We're talking about getting jobs. We're talking about developing our skills, doing this, doing that. Everything depends on the people that you know, because the information you do not have, you cannot make use of. So for this reason, I'm going to put everybody in different breakout rooms. And when you get to your breakout rooms, try as much as possible to get to know people in your breakout rooms. You can turn on your video, you can turn on your audio. Please speak, feel free, get to know each other, get to know what the other person does. You can ask your question in the breakout rooms. And if for some reason, after this breakout session, you decide to, you have a question in your breakout group, for example, you have questions in this breakout room, please come back to the major group and ask this question. And of course, the speakers will answer. Please, again and again, this breakout session is for you to network. It is for you to network. Please do not underestimate the power of networking. To get accommodation in Germany is network. To get jobs in Germany is network. Everything is based on who you know and who has this information or not. And since you're already here, this program is free. Why not? Please network. Okay.
What's it called? A kind of internship. Try to also get a kind of job, and maybe later on we can also talk about aspect of volunteering, because if the jobs are not forthcoming with companies that you're applying to within your city, find organization where you can volunteer. So from there you have your leg for them later on if there's an opportunity for that. So these are some of the options I would say.
Yeah, thanks. I know this session is supposed to be for networking, but just to just share a quick of my experience regarding this Arbeitslosengeld God you said. So I also thought initially that with a student visa, you are not eligible for Arbeitslosengeld or things like that. But I did apply and I got it on a student visa. So this was totally surprising. I was just trying it out, but of course, I already worked as a PhD student. And during this period, I was on a 50% contract and I was paying taxes, even though I was on a student visa, but I could get the Arbeitslosengeld. So, but before then, I thought it would not work based on like the general assumption. But I think the requirement is just that if you have paid the tax, then you have the right to access this. I don't know how we can, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is something I always appreciate that. Even if the company, if the organization is just paying little into that Arbeitslosengeld, it's a good thing. And this is why many people are always looking for jobs that will have all this kind of payment into the system. Though, as a student, sometimes we just rush to get the job because we know we need the money. But these are some of the things that I think one can always watch out for, such that one can have a very strong footing. And, during this corona pandemic, there were a lot of laws that really changed. A lot of people were given Arbeitslosengeld, even those people who were on 25%, 50%, and 75%. So, all these things are changing, and sometimes we just have to continue to search for the laws and to get to know what is going on.
Okay, so please, I have another question.
Okay, sir.
Is there a kind of a negative consequence if one should run like 2 masters simultaneously?
Well, I don't think so, but I've not really seen or met somebody that is running 2 masters in Germany. The only thing I know is, you have only one student in Bescheinigung.
Maybe you run one in a university, then one in another university, different.
Yes, this is where I'm also trying to think of, because You know, there's something about our studentship. And this is why I always tell people that our studentship is a very powerful certificate, you know, because the state and the regional governments, they also pay part of your expenses in the university where you are.
Yes.
So we don't know, maybe there's a way when they log in your name, it also appears in another state. It might be an issue, we don't know. But I've not really met somebody with two different studentship, with two different university at master's level or bachelor level. For PhD, it's possible where you spend maybe a semester here, you do some research. It's also possible for exchange students where you spend a semester here, you go to another university, you spend another semester, you also get their studentship certificate and things like that. So I don't really know about this. I don't really know about this, but I mean, you can always try it if you have the capacity to run two programs at the same time. And I know many universities also welcome transfer of credits. You know, maybe you've done a course before and there's another course you are doing somewhere which might also fit well and they can transfer those credits. So I think it's possible, but
you get the card, you get a slip with kind of like a scratch.
Yeah.
On it. So that's your code to be able to log into that thing. So, but of course, alternatively, you can just look for the agency that's running for rental facilitation, write them that you need your printout for the past 43 months, whatever.
Okay.
So
when I get this, I can just take it to the district office.
Yes.
Okay.
And ask. So see what. So maybe in worst case they'll just tell you to come back in, maybe they say come back in 6 months or wait a little while. Or if you're already eligible, they just say okay, go ahead and send me your application.
Okay. Thanks for that, bro.
Yeah, welcome. Okay, see you in the other room.
All right, thank
you. Yeah, welcome.
Okay, thank you very much to all our speakers and even to the participants. I really enjoyed the session. I want to believe that you enjoyed asking the questions in the breakout rooms. We're going to make it more efficient next time to, you know, make sure that you're able to ask all your questions also individually or something like this. You know, basically just make it more efficient next time for you. But of course, I'm pretty sure that you enjoyed speaking with the speakers in the breakout sessions or in the breakout rooms. And again, this is the conversation. The conversation is on migration, education, integration in Germany, answers your questions about coming to Germany, about staying in Germany, about, you know, every question you need to know, everything you need to know regarding this. And of course, my name is Olamide Olabimpe-Olayiwola. I am your moderator, as you already know. And this particular project is sponsored by the Horizon Resource Network, supported by the BürgerStiftung Hamburg. And yes, we're happy to have you. We're happy to always look for great speakers to speak to you, and so that we can learn all together from these speakers' experiences and also from their wealth of knowledge. And I want to believe that you have done that today. Very briefly, I would want to say that this session is recorded, like you already know, but it's recorded to be edited and I'll put on YouTube for everybody to have access to it. You can also always go back to this, refresh your mind, refresh your memories about what the speakers have answered, about the questions. I personally will do that. You should remember to please subscribe and turn on the post notification on YouTube and follow us on all social media platforms. The social media platforms is in the chat box. Please follow. If you have questions, if you have anything you want to know, you can just send us a message on social media. And of course, there is someone there to answer you. Aside that, I'm using this opportunity to invite you for the next month session. So this is the first episode of this is between March and June. So there is another session of this next month, and you really do not want to miss out on that, because it is going to be educative, enlightening, mind-blowing, and you're going to learn a lot. Have your questions ready, because the speakers are going to blow your mind. So yes, is there anybody who has questions, either from the breakout rooms or because I don't want to assume that because I got into some breakout room, I saw that some of the questions I have here, those people already asked the speakers. So I don't want to ask those questions again. So if you have further questions, I would personally love you to unmute, to speak. And if you have experience in this, there's some people currently here who are German citizens. They became German citizens just by staying in Germany for a short period of time or for a long period of time, however the case may be. If you want to share with us what you've learned, what you know, please feel free to unmute, turn on your video if you want to, and just share your experience with us. If you have further questions or anything, please raise up your hand, let me know so that I ask you to unmute, and then you speak directly to the speakers. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that everybody has asked their questions. Okay. Also, I know, please, I would get to you as you raise up your hand. Thank you very much. Also, I want to believe I heard in Mr. Victor's breakout room that some people requested for his LinkedIn profile. Please share that if you've not. Dr. Ibrahim as well, if you have any other network or platform where people can connect with you, please let us know. Of course, please put it in the chat box. And also, I wanted to mention something else. But if I remember again, I would say it. So moving directly to the people whose hands are up, I'm going to start with Peter. I can't pronounce your last name, so I wouldn't pronounce it. I don't want to make mistakes. I'm going to start with Peter. Please, can you unmute? If you can turn on your video, please do as well.
Oh, okay, no problem. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was in the other room with Mr. Victor. And one of the speakers said something about the PhD students being able to apply for permanent residency after 24 months, even without getting a fully funded PhD. Or I couldn't really get the full information. Please, I would like the person to just maybe talk a little more about it and all of that. Yeah.
But who was the person? Who was the speaker?
I can't really remember the person.
Maybe Dr. Ibrahim, because Mr. Victor is not.
Okay, you said it was Uche. Okay.
It was Uche. Yes. Yes. Someone asked, I think Azim, about it. Then I gave my opinion about it. Then Uche shared his own experience. Right. I know people who are doing PhD, and it was actually not relevant if it was fully funded or partially funded. And after the 24 months, you are eligible for a PR. So my own thought was, if you are working on a PhD that's not fully funded or not full time, right? That's when you go to the AMT, they might require you to wait a little longer. But I also put in a caveat that I'm not certain, right? So, but of course, people's experience are valid. So Uche said he knew some people that got it even with a partial PhD. So that's possible, yes.
Okay. Peter, has your question been answered? Okay, that's good to know. That's why we're here. I want to answer your questions. Okay, so I'm just gonna unmute Adebisi Teresa.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So my question is, I mean, it can be funny. For someone like me, I think it's impossible to learn German. I don't think I was given that gift to ever learn it. And I'm studying currently in my third year, and I'm planning to write my thesis and submit this year by God's grace. So now my plan is talking about this thing. I can hear like the period is kind of shortened because you understand German. And when you go for the interview, they ask you. But for me, I don't think, the only thing I can say is my name correctly. So what happens for someone like me? Do I now have to wait for like 10 years because I do not speak German? Or is there any other shortcut for someone like me to get my residency still quickly, not waiting that long?
Maybe I should allow Mr. Victor to answer this first because.
Okay, yeah, I'll go first, gladly. Thank you for that. From my personal experience, right, I've met at least one or two people who told me that they did not even have to submit the German certificate. But their cases are different, right? One of them is he has a PhD, also from the THH, and is a senior researcher, a senior research staff at the MHOT Centrum in Gstaad. So, which means he kind of like has some extra points to support his profile, so to say, right? So he's a senior researcher. He has done research in University of California, was in Portugal, and he also is a family man, right? So maybe they expect, okay, because I don't know exactly how long. I'm pretty sure that it was more than, I think, 7 years thereabout. He got to Germany before he was able to get it anyways. So if you do not want to submit, or you feel that you do not have the capacity to get a B1 certificate or something like anything in that direction, you should be able to. However, also you need to estimate some extra application time, right? Some extra time, and also maybe some extra to support your profile. For example, social engagement. For instance, if you have some certificates, for example, if you've been participating in like ASTA, ASTO, or wherever in your university, or NICIC, something like that. So you can have proof for social engagement that you can also submit with your application. Because I've also heard that they place some value on it if you have proof of social engagement. So they might waive that for you, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Victor, and I think this is where this volunteering comes in. Sometimes you might volunteer for some, let's say, migrant organization in Hamburg, and you've done this for several occasions, and you have some kind of letter from them to say, oh, ADBC is very good at this, she has supported us in the, all those kind of things. But I must confess to you, if the officer wants you to have B1, I mean, you just have to do that B1. Some of them are very adamant, and I think sometimes I do tell people that we should avoid anything that will create a kind of conflict between us and the officer. Some of them are very reluctant to issue out these things, and don't just give them that room. So if you can pursue to do your A1, A2, B1, at least B1, if you want to stop there, you can stop there, but just try, because sometimes some of these things are very disturbing when you see that this is the only thing that is delaying you. And if you've used your effort and your energy to push yourself through the process of building your skills, just try. Try. It's important because they just want you to prove that you are well integrated. I know some people might say, okay, why not if I get married to a German and things like that and all those things. Those ones are another thing entirely, which I feel it's also important that we can discuss them in another time. And I think in the future conversation, this will be something the organizer will have to look into. Different story for different people sometimes, but most times what is within your own domain is your skills and those things that you've been empowered to do, and they need your skills. I must confess. The reason why, from the story we used to hear from a lot of old folks, the German government opened up to start having international master's program and PhD program, like let's say 15, 20 years ago. In the past, you can count the number of English-speaking programs. So they intentionally did that because they need young, smart people like us, and we are here, and they need us in their economy. So let's try to use the best that we can to acquire those things that will also help us too. And from there, I think for me, I just should just try, just try. Just try.
Thank you very much, sir. There is something I always say, there is no harm in trying. The last they will say is no. I would not beat you. Okay. Before I move on to call.
Yeah. And like I said, I've also seen a social whereby you go to the officer and they will tell you, sit down there. They will bring a sheet of paper and they will tell you, write something about yourself for this whole page in German. So if they speak to you, I mean, this happens especially in the eastern part of Germany. So, I mean, you guys in the northern part, you are very, I mean, you are, I mean, you have no problem, but I'm telling you what happens in this area of from Berlin, Dresden, Leipzig, downwards. Some of them will tell you, sit down there, they'll give you a sheet of paper, and not the sheet of paper, the higher education long sheet of paper. They will tell you to write a story from your childhood down to the present moment. And if you can't compose all the German sentences, you know, it's a little bit of challenge. So just try. In fact, I have a Syrian guy who had to cram this before he went, and he got there, he was just writing everything and he was able to scale through. Because when they asked him to say something, he was mixing up the sentences, you know, together with a little bit of Arabic, together with a little bit of English. So at the end of the day, the lady just said, okay, sit down there and write something about yourself. And he was able to scale through. So, I mean, just try to avoid some things like this, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Before I call on the people whose hands are raised, I want to also note that I feel like there's so many people that are in here who would like to pursue a PhD or who are already doing their PhD, prospective PhD holders, all of this in this circle. There is a special LinkedIn group that you might want to join. You might find interesting to join. The link is in the chat box, so you can always join this group. There will be a conference. You should definitely be a part of this. It is going to be very educating, and your questions will be answered. Okay, that being said, I'm going to call Sahid.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
First and foremost, thank you so much, Ibrahim and Victor, for time. We're really grateful. So my question is actually, we all know it's necessary to equip yourself with the skills, with the language. Basically, these are just like the sad reality. But there are countless people that still have all these skills, still have this language, but yet they are not breaking the barrier when it comes to the workforce. What exactly is the key thing for you to first have also? There's one thing to have the skills, the language. Another thing is now, how do you break into this labor force? Because I have like some few friends, like I mentioned, they have the language, they have the skills, but they are not still yet getting into it. What are they not doing right? And then there are some people that does not even have up to like A2. They don't have the skills, but they were like breaking into the language, into the labor force of Germany. So can you guys just give us a very realistic tips on do's and don'ts when it comes to actually getting into the labor force of Germany? Because we all know every country have their own, like, these are the things we need in, let's say, your CV, your profile, things you might be doing unconsciously that is haunting you. Maybe not writing too much detailed CV, or maybe writing detailed CV. What are the things? Just like, I know there might be another section for this, but can you just give us like a brief guidance? Okay, in case you are pursuing your. So thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, maybe I would like to answer this first. Yeah, okay, good. I think I must confess that this particular issue is a very rampant issue everywhere in Germany, and not only in Germany alone, even entire Europe. For the past 2 years, I think I've been called upon to discuss this issue within different German employability setup that they want to like integrate foreigners. It's a big issue. I must confess to you that there might be some issues that is really affecting many of our, so-called foreign people. Number one, we are competing with highly skilled German youth. I must confess, 2 weeks ago, I was in a career fair representing my company, and I realized that all the whole people coming to our stand to ask for jobs and things like that are parents with their kids from primary and from elementary school down to high school, teenagers, all of them. In fact, there was a lady that was in front of me that was saying, my son is 9 years old, and in 9 years' time, he will be 18 years old. I would like him to work with your company and give me all the details. So you can see that they're already preparing their kids from that tender age. Now, many of them do go for a lot of internship while they were in their high school. If you look at some of their CVs before they start their bachelor program, some of them will have done 3 months in Accenture, 4 months in SAP, 8 months in Siemens during their period of abitur and all those things. So now, getting to do a degree program, they go into a larger opportunity. Maybe they do internship with the start, they do internship with companies and everything like that. So by the time they finish their degree, they are well informed about what the industrial world looks like, what the business world looks like. So many of us coming from different African countries, we had our BSc, and most times, many of us we are only stuck to our degree alone. Maybe we did not have any other skills to ourselves, like what Mr. Victor said, like AutoCAD and all those basic skills. Maybe you want to learn data science or business analytics and things like that. So we are competing with this set of young lads here in Germany. And these are the things that are affecting us. So this is why we have to go extra mile. So if you are someone who is doing a BSc program, try to look at things that you can add to your skills that will make you also stand out. If you are doing your master's, look at things you can add to your skills. If you are doing your PhD, in fact, many of us doing PhD, we have the best opportunity. There are some equipment we have access to work on, to service, or even to repair, or to even do some tests. Add those things to your CV. There are some skills that we have, maybe software skills, and let's just add all those things. Then one thing about the German market is the German job market is very wide. Sometimes we feel, okay, I studied mechanical engineering and I want to work as a mechanical engineer. Forget about that. Maybe the best thing for you to go is to move a little bit into maybe industrial engineering and focus on that, because industrial engineering is a big business here and they really like it. So we need to be versatile. And sometimes, most times, many of us are really in one area, first degree mechanical, second degree mechanical, PhD mechanical. I mean, it does not work these days any longer. Try to add other things and make yourself very relevant in your field, very relevant in some areas that there are key needs for, especially in this kind of environment, because they need a lot of people in different sectors. There's a lecture on that alone, which I do somewhere else, where we need to analyze the German job market based on your field when you analyze them. And this is something you can always do with Stepstone, Indeed. Just search those fields that you want to go for. Look at what the market is looking for and look at those things in your CV. Then rearrange your CV and also go to do some courses to improve your skills. And I think when you do that, I think you'll be very relevant. You'll be very relevant. And German is a key factor, because there are some people, they are not as smart as us. They speak the German very well and they are given the jobs. I've seen this kind of situation. And there are some people, they are not, they don't speak German, but they have some skills, maybe some software skills that the company needs, and they give them those jobs. So we need to find a balance that works for us. And this is why you have to do a kind of need assessment, do a kind of a gap analysis for yourself. And this is something we do in some other workshops that I think Horizon Resource Network we've been working together on in the past. So thank you.
Great. If I would also add to that, thank you for that extensive clarification, Mr. Ibrahim. I think Said also asked something about CV and interviews. And I think if you're not getting interviews and you're sending out CVs, there might be a problem with your CV, right? So it means, okay, maybe you need to review it or something. But if you are getting interviews, then maybe CV is not your problem. Your CV is already perfect. Maybe most of the challenge that you're facing is when you get to the interview, you freeze, or you don't answer the questions correctly, or they talk to you in German, and because your German is not good enough, you are not able to perform very well, right? So that's also a totally different case, right? But realistically, one of the things I would advise is that, I mean, this advice goes directly to students. You have the opportunity to get internships, work student positions and things like that. Seize those opportunities, right? I understand that sometimes it might be difficult as well, but pursue it as much as possible. Because one of the things I've learned is that for foreign students, for people who come here to study, one of the easiest or the more direct processes or the trails or the paths that they get to enter the industry is through the work student job or the internship or master thesis or things like that, that they get in the position. Because even just recently, a colleague of mine who did the internship, you know, at the end of she realized that the internship was ending. She was asking her boss, right? Could you help? The boss was like, no way here. But she took the initiative and sent emails to all the top bosses, right? And they gave her high position. You know, sometimes you have to, you just have to push a little, but you have to also have a leg in the door already. So that gives you like an edge, because once you finish your master degree and you enter the market, you are in the same market with thousands of other people from India, Pakistan, Mexico, you know, and all these other people, maybe they've done internships somewhere before, they are more skilled, they even speak German. So that's kind of like one of the ways that I would say would help a lot, right? However, if you're already getting interviews, do not stop, right? So it gets frustrating sometimes, you know, you might be looking for 1 year, you know, but do not stop. You know, you need a little bit of grit, and it doesn't only apply here in this case. It's kind of like, it's a quality that you need for life, you know, to succeed in general. You need grit, right? I've had stories of people, the men who came from West Africa, you know, from people like us maybe in the late 1990s, early 2000s, they came to study, right? They were looking for proper office for like office jobs or things like that. They couldn't get. They started driving taxi, you know, out of frustration. And once you are like that, once you enter that field, that's your career. You know, just stay there. You know, it will be difficult to switch, right? So choose also a field that has very high high need. An example of that is if you are into engineering, for instance. Research TGR, you know, technical building equipment field. So this is one of the fields that require a lot of people right now. You know, there's a lot of companies almost shutting down because they can't get staff. There's hundreds of jobs in these fields. You know, also like the information technology field and things like that. If you have your SAP, there are some universities that offer these courses for free. You know, keep all those things, you know, in one hand. So I think that's it for now.
Yeah, I would also like to add to the question from Bukola. I think as far as PhD in economics is concerned, I would advise, if you have the opportunity, do it, to do your PhD, and be rest assured that many of us that want to go for PhD, it's not compulsory you stay in the university, in the academia. The German system is so integrated that you can be working as a PhD holder in the industry, or even in the research sector, or even in policy making or governance. So let's go for this. Then there's something about the field of economics that we are really looking for in the field of, STEM in general. And most times whenever we do project, we talk about the cost, we talk about the techno-economic analysis. There's a lot of people now that are switching their field from maybe some field of engineering that many of them are going into learning all these things. And in fact, for the past almost 1 year now, we've been looking for people to do this. Though I have those skills, but I can't do all this job. So we need more people to join us. And it's very hard to find people. So if you're in the field of economics, like yours, please just continue in that area and link it to other areas that are not only I mean, maybe the way we look at economics from the government point of view, maybe you look into development area, you look into technological area, and maybe even expand it to other areas of the circular economy, life cycle assessment, and the likes.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Ibrahim, and thank you, Mr. Victor. And I'll be taking the last question from Joshua.
Can I be heard, please? Can I be heard, please?
Yes, go ahead, please.
All right. It's a morning here. I'm in China. It's about 2 a.m. here. Sorry, please, I joined late because of the time difference. Good morning and good evening to each and everybody wherever we are. And I want to thank our organizers and then our lecturers. It's been one that is that I have really enjoyed so far since I joined. I want to say thank you. Please keep it up, and don't forget that people want to come to Germany. So many people. Like I am here in China. I'm rounding off my PhD program, and then I just want to ask if for people, okay, like me, I was engaged back home in Nigeria. But I just feel, let me just try and see if, actually when I was coming to China, a friend of mine who knew me very well was like, why did you decide to move to China? I said, that's where I would just take it like that. So, and I was coming to a very good university too because of my area, my field of study. And now I'm rounding off the program and I'm trying to consider Germany as one of my choice of country to move to. And yeah, I saw the program and I said, okay, let me just join. And the question is, how easy is it for people like us, especially those of us who were doing something with experience in the system there in Nigeria, for example, in the teaching field in Nigeria, and having done a PhD and want to find ourselves because of the migration policy, in China, the migration policy is totally different from what we have in other places. So that's why I want to know if there is any platform, if there is any, I'm a novice actually in terms of migration and all of that. So if there is any platform on how to integrate people like us, perhaps it could be job opportunity, not postdoc now, but job opportunity, please. Job opportunities. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So what field are you in? The question to the person that just asked the question now. I was just asking that what field.
Okay, actually, I am in chemistry field, but presently I'm into CO2 conversion to chemicals and fuel, just in industrial chemistry, chemical engineering, industrial chemistry field, catalyst design.
Germany, maybe the first point is language, because maybe you have to learn the language, but what you can do is you can search through a lot of companies. They need people who can synthesize catalysts. I must confess, I'm also working in all these areas. And when it comes to CO2 conversion to chemicals, it's a major field of decarbonization that a lot of people are being sourced for. So just check companies. Some companies also offer fellowship programs. You can use those fellowship programs to get in. There's also MO's fellowship program. And I think you can also get across to the New Horizon Network. I think there's a program on this specifically. So maybe this is also a good way that you are here. Just get the contact right there. I think they'll give you a lot of details about
this. Mr. Victor, I thought you wanted to share something as well.
No, I think he has covered that part.
Yeah, I also want to say something. I saw that we have someone with job prospects with soil science and now studying environmental toxicology. And I will suggest, and all those people in the field of Greek economics and co, that now there is this digital agriculture and precision farming that is going on. It's a huge revolution. Look at how you can try to focus on some of all those areas. Those things that you can do from your major field of interest in agriculture, in soil science, in environmental toxicology, and things like that. Try to realign them towards precision agriculture, digital agriculture, where you use a lot of information system technologies to build a lot of things, or to use data science and things like that. And there's a huge area of opportunity across different parts of Europe. Even African Development Bank is doing a lot in this area. Just try to go more into all those areas that you feel they are the new emerging field in this agric economics, in precision farming and all those things. And I think there's a lot of opportunity out there. Thank you.
I could also add to that. So if you are in this field, right, Mr. Ibrahim just mentioned, just personally, I know a couple of startups that are into agricultural robotics and technology and things like that, economics. An example of that is a company called Ant Robotics. They're still very small, right? So you can also find companies that are similar to that. Those are places that are very good startup positions or startup places where you could, they're not that picky, so to say, like big corporations and big companies. So if you're looking to start your career in Germany, even if you have studied here or you're from abroad, you want to come as an expatriate, apply to many of all these startups. There's thousands of them. So you can use it as a launch pad for you. If you stay there a couple of years, and if you happen to be having fun there and they're paying you pretty good, stay there. But if you feel you are not enjoying the place, then you have an opportunity to get a different job within Germany. So that's just a tip.
Thank you. But what's the name of the company you mentioned now?
Ant Robotics, A-N-T Robotics. Yeah, they're a startup. They're doing a lot of research. I don't know if they'll be able to pay much, but I know that they recruit students. Right.
Okay. Thank you so much. That they spend their time, they've given us their time, their energy. Even in the breakout rooms, I joined and I realized that people were not even networking with themselves. They were still asking questions from the speakers. And indeed, they have really broken down a couple of things for us all. Have learned so much, and I'm really thankful for you. Thank you so much for everybody appreciating the speakers. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for being very good teachers. I think this is one thing that is very important as well. It looks as if this session should not come to an end because we keep learning and learning and learning and learning. I mean, imagine if you're just fresh into Germany and you're learning this. The chances that you make mistakes in this Germany are very slim because you're learning from other people's experience, which is actually the best way to learn, yeah, in my opinion anyway. So yes, remember that again, this is the conversation sponsored by Horizon Resource Network and supported by the BürgerStiftung Hamburg. I'm inviting you again to our session next month. You don't want to miss out on that as well. Look at how today went. Next month is going to be totally mind-blowing. You don't want to miss it. You're going to learn so much. Network, get to know each other. And while I'm speaking, you can drop your LinkedIn profile in the chat box. People can follow you. You can network, let people know you. Please accept when people send you requests. so that we get to know each other, we get to communicate better. And like I mentioned, next month, please do not forget to join. Please make sure you register as soon as you see the poster, you see the videos and everything. Please register, because when you register, when we record sessions like this and we put it on YouTube or on social media platforms, you get to receive the link firsthand. And again, please follow us on all social media platforms. The link will be pasted in the chat box. You can follow people as they drop their LinkedIn profile, and also follow us definitely on social media platforms, because we're going to be sharing more information. You're going to get to know so many things, and you can also ask us direct questions. Again, my name is Olamide Olabimpe-Olayola, and I was your moderator for today. Let me use the past tense. And thank you so much, Dr. Ibrahim. I cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much, Mr. Victor. I hope that you keep flying and flying and flying. And this is just the very beginning for you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for sharing so much with us.